Can you please tell us shortly what are the three prevalent schools of thought when it comes to Genesis 6:4, so we can identify, even if we disagree with these schools of thoughts, what are
Right.
the
Well, the three predominant theories, and this is in the appendix of Navigating Genesis, is that these are fallen angels that impregnated human women against God's command. Another one is that it's fallen angels who demon possess humans who then impregnate these women. The third explanation is that God had given a command to the descendants of Seth that they're not to have take as their wives the descendants of Cain. And so that was the forbidden thing, which is why I also included in Navigating Genesis a piece I call the physics of basketball. Basketball is a sport where your success on getting baskets given equal skill goes up with the square of your height. So a 7-foot basketball player given equal skill will get twice as many baskets as a 5 foot tall basketball player. But what you notice in the NBA is that the best players are not those that are 7.5 feet tall. The best players are around 6.5 feet tall. And that's because when you start getting up around 7 feet and 7.5 feet, there's a loss of mobility. I mean, I'm doing this podcast from a suburb of Los Angeles. A few years ago, the Los Angeles Lakers basketball team had Kobe Bryant, who was 6'7", and then they had Shaquille O'Neal, who was 7'1". And you remember they didn't get along well, and that's because Kobe Bryant got frustrated with how long it took Shaquille O'Neal to lumber down the court. He wanted to pass him the basketball so he'd get an easy basket, but he took so long that he wound up getting the baskets himself. And the point is, when you're 300 pounds and 7'1", uh, or 320 pounds, he was even heavier. It's hard to move your body. But what we see with Goliath, even if he uses a short cubit, he's 9 feet 9 inches tall. And it says he took about 250 pounds of weapons and armor into battle. While without supernatural assist, it's not possible for a human to be able to fight in battle at that height with that much armor and weaponry. Uh, the problem with us human beings is that our bone mass has to go up with a square of our height. And so the weight of the bones is so heavy, you need a lot of muscle to go with those bones. And the combination of all that bone weight and muscle weight means you lose mobility. I mean, there's a famous Christian actor who is 7'7". He played the role of Jaws in one of the 007 movies. And, I got to meet him. But when I met him, he was in a wheelchair, basically because of his high height. He, I bet, lost the capacity to be able to walk and is now in a wheelchair. And there are humans who have a growth hormone defect where they just keep growing. But what you notice is they never make it to 9 feet tall. They always die before they hit 9 feet of height. And the reason why they die is because of physical exhaustion. So the fact that we see Og, the king of Bashan, who had a 13-foot long iron bed, and we see Goliath at 9 feet 9, we know that they had to have some supernatural assist to be able to do the things that they did. And also, we see that they had birth defects, 6 fingers and 6 toes. So that again is evidence that there was unlawful intercourse occurring.
Yeah, I remember when I mean, we know this from the Bible, but I also remember that several times in different videos when you were just being a guest to different shows, you always point out that these giants are always males. They always have birth defects, and they're always evil. I remember you always
Right.
pointing these few things, that's why this was so unique to me, and I had to remember that this is just another evidence that shows us how the giants were real. They were not just it wasn't just a hyperbole used for something just because people in that time, the statistics shows that they were maybe 5.5 long. So maybe someone like me who is 6 foot would be a giant for them. But no, these were actually a little bit longer, bigger.
Well, you see in the writings when Moses sent out the 12 spies, what did they say? We were like grasshoppers next to them. So, these were clearly individuals that were really big compared to normal human beings. And also, it's one reason why God sent the flood was to wipe out the offspring in this unlawful intercourse. But it says they came back. But we also notice that there weren't a large number of them. God acted to prevent this from getting out of control. And so we see David's mighty men killing off the last of the Nephilim. The only historical evidence we have for the existence of these creatures is in Crete and in the land of Canaan. And it tells us that the Philistines came from the island of Crete. And so at the time of King David, that's where these giant individuals lived. They lived amongst the Philistines. But David's mighty men took care of the last of the Nephilim.